All right, here we have minute 53, day 4. So if you're doing this, it means it's Tuesday or Monday night, and I thank you for all your hard work. Number 1, Jason drove for 3 hours at a high speed of 55 miles an hour. How far did he go? So for 3 hours, I'm going to circle that, and then I'm going to underline the 55 miles an hour. So 3 hours at 55. So that means every hour you're going to go 55 miles. So 55 for hour 1, 55 for hour 2, and 55 for hour 3. Must not have lived in any traffic. And we're going to add those together. Your other option is to do the 55 miles an hour times the 3 hours. But either way, you're going to come up with the same answer. So 50 and 50 is 100, plus another 50 is 150. And then 5, 10, 15. So 150 plus 15 is 165. So 165 miles. Not bad in 3 hours. It's actually slow. If I had to drive that, it'd be painful. The interior angles of a triangle add up to, remember that one where we were talking about all this last week? All of these angles, no matter what, when you add them up, they should equal 180 degrees. So 180 degrees. Next, circle all of the following that are equal to 3/10. That is like 3 dimes. So I'm just going to remember, this is 3 out of this are going to make a whole. So we're talking about 3/10. So 3/10 of a dollar would be the same as 30 cents. So if we did this, is that the same? If we're doing percentage, we would take this amount, which would be 3/10. And if we did percentage, we'd have to multiply it by 100. So if we did that, that would get us to 30%. So this one does not work. This one does. This one says it is the same as 6/10. Well, that means it's 60 cents out of a dollar, or 0.6, and we know this is not equal. And this also shows right here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces total, so 5. And out of the 5 pieces, how many are shaded? Well, if you're talking about the shaded part, right here, that's 3 out of 5. Well, that doesn't have the same bottom number, so we can't make this smaller because 3 is prime, but we can make this one bigger by 10. So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the same number. So if we multiply the bottom to get to 10, if we multiply the bottom by 2, you have to multiply the top by 2. So that gets us to a total of 6/10. Well, we have these ones are the same, but that's not the same as 3/10. So this one does not work either. So the only one that is the same is this one. Okay. Next one. What is the square root of 4 in parentheses and 9 in parentheses? Well, don't forget, if you have a parentheses and there's no symbol, that means you're multiplying. So technically, you would do 4 times 9, which is 36. And we're looking for the square root of 36. So right now, the square root of 4 times 9 is equal to or the same as the square root of 36. And the square root of 36, what 2 numbers multiplied by themselves get you to 36. This is where those math facts come in handy. 6 times 6 is 36. So 6 is the answer to what is the square root of 36. Next, number 5. Fill in the missing number. We have 3 to 6, 3 to 9, 6 to 12. So this one, from 3 to 6, it's times 2. From 6 to 12, it's times 2. From 3 to 9, it's times 3. From 9 to 27, it's also times 3. From 27 to 81, are you multiplying it by 3? So check your work. 7 times 3 is 21. 3 times 20 is 60. That gets us to 81. So this bottom part is times 3. That means this top part is times 2. So we would need to do 12 times 2. If you know your math facts, you've already got that filled in. If not, you're going to go 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 10 is 20, 24. Next one, 2 times a number is 14. So if you have 2 and you times it by a number and it equals 14, what is the number? This is what that equation would look like if they asked you to write an equation. And then the answer would be, you can find it by dividing it. So you can find the answer by taking 14, dividing it by 2, and that would get you to 7. And if you're not quite sure how that works, I'm just going to show you really quick. 2, 4, I'm going to count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I'm going to count how many groups that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Just for those of you who are just reviewing that. If the pattern continues, should the last box be shaded or clear? So it goes shade, skip 1, shade, skip 2, shade, skip 1, shade, skip 2. Should the last box be clear or shaded? Well, if you add another box, it could be shaded. But if you're just talking about this last box, the answer would be clear. It should be clear. Next, Alan has $3.05. Fill in the remaining box to show how many dimes he has. Oh, well, it says if he has 8 quarters, that's $2, because there's 4 quarters per dollar. And then if it says he has dimes, that means we know he has $2 in quarters and 1 nickel, which is 5 cents. So he needs another $1. And how many 10-cent pieces would it take? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 cents or 10 dimes. Next. There's no symbols, there's only parentheses. Miss Faith, what do? You're going to multiply. Anytime you do not see a symbol, the answer is to multiply. So it is left to right, always. That's what that PEMDAS is. Parentheses are brackets. Exponents. Multiply or divide from left to right, always. Add or subtract from left to right, always. Okay, so on this one, they're all multiplication because there's no symbols. So we're just going to multiply. 3 times 4 would be 12. And 12 times 3, which is the same as 12 plus 12 plus 12, equals 36. Next. 2 times 5 is 10. And then 10 times 3 would get us to 30. All right, you did it. Give yourself a big fat, oh shoot, look what we skipped. Everybody's favorite, subtraction. So for number 9, you have 67 take away 28. Now, I've heard from several parents that there's a lot of struggles with this regrouping thing. Okay, and I get it. So we're just going to show a couple. I'm going to show one way on the bottom and one way on the top. The bottom one that I'm going to show you, is just borrowing and carrying. I'm going to borrow 10 and give it over to here. So now I have 17. That gets me 9. 5 take away 2 is 7. I'm sorry, that's 5 plus 2. 3. Brain fart. If I wanted to on the top and I wanted to solve it a different way, I could add up and say if I want to get to 67 from 28, I could add 2. That would get me 30. And then I'm going to add 35 more. Or sorry, that would get me to 30. And I would add 37 more. And that would get me to 39. And that would get me to 67. And if you don't get that part, do the borrow carry. Okay, next. Can I take, need to take 5, and I can't take 5 away from 2, so I'm going to bring 10, a group of 10 over. 10, 12 take away 5 is 7. 8 take away 4 is 4. If I wanted to go up the other way, 45 to 92. 45 plus 5 is 50. Plus, that would get us to needing 42 more, and that would equal 47. And that would be like saying 45 is where we start, and then we add up. Next one, 103, take away 33. I'm going to borrow from the 10 here and turn that into 9, and turn this, give a 10 here and make it 11. So 11 take away 3 is 8, and 9 take away 3 is 6. If we did it from 68, sorry, we did it from 33. 33 plus 7 equals 40, and 40, and we got to get to 101, would be 61, and 61 and 7 is 68.